Google just launched Gemini 3 and they're calling this a new era of intelligence. This is, of course, their large language model which succeeds Gemini 2.5. And in this video, we're going to look at why Gemini 3 is better. We have seen a lot of people posting on Twitter and on YouTube that it's one of the best models that come out. And secondly, we're going to put it to test. So we'll use Gemini 3 to build a website of our own. And the great thing about this is that we'll see how easily accessible this model is for anyone to use. Alright, so this is what it's created. It's called Flowcraft AI and drag shapes to the canvas. So looks good. Let me just try and drag the start node over here. So there's one node over here. Let's make this full screen and let's have a process node over here and let's see if we can connect this. And wow, we can actually connect this. I did actually connect it the opposite way around. So I can select this and I can resize this. I can actually delete this node. The arrow actually moves with it. I can select this and I can resize this as well using this. And there's a delete button over here. Let me just try to delete this. And when I delete this, the arrow also goes away. All right. So I can actually then, try to put the process node again. And let's try to connect this node with this node. So that just actually highlights the node when you actually bring it on top of it. Let's add a decision node over here. Let's actually take this and connect this to the decision node. And let's add an end node over here. And let's actually connect the decision node to the end node. We can actually need to change this to end, and this actually formats it very, very well. So as the first thing, let me scroll down to the results that they have mentioned over here. So you can look at the blog for more details, but let me just click on this and zoom in over here. And you see that Gemini 3 Pro has been compared to 2.5 Pro, Claude Sonnet 4.5 and GPT 5.1. This is done across several benchmarks and you see that Gemini 3 Pro actually beats the other models, its predecessor and the competition on almost all of them except this one over here, which is SWE bench verified, which is around agentic coding, and it's very near the top, although Claude Sonnet 4.5 is the one that comes out on top over here. So that's a big deal that this is a new model that's beating the other models almost everywhere. And the jump in performance is significant. The other thing is around the accessibility. So if you go up over here, it's very easily accessible to anyone who has been using Gemini. So we are beginning the Gemini 3 era by releasing Gemini 3 Pro in preview and making it available today across a suite of Google products. So you can use it in your daily life to learn, build and plan anything. So one of the easiest ways to access this model is to go directly to aistudio.google.com. And once you go there, you can log in through your Gmail account. And once you do that, you'll see that Gemini 3 Pro Preview is listed as a new model and it's available for you to use for free subject to Google's terms and conditions. So I think they have a data use policy and other TNC, which allows them to use your conversations to train their model. Something to that effect. And you can actually read through these terms and conditions and policies in detail. And if you agree with that, you can actually use this for free over here. Now the big deal over here is that it actually allows you to build websites. You can actually click on the sidebar and expand this and go to the build section over here. You could have of course used this with the previous models, but just to test out Gemini 3 Pro Preview, we're going to see how it performs while building an actual website. And you can also do that if you just have a Gmail account. So now let's try to build something and see how Gemini 3 performs while building a website. So let me say, build a website for me where I can drag and drop different shapes from a sidebar onto a canvas to build a flowchart. These shapes can be connected together using arrows. There's an option to add text and there's an option to size these shapes and text as I want them to. I can also move around these shapes on the flowchart and the arrows stay connected to the shapes while I move them around. So that's a pretty complex prompt, but we just want to see how it works. There's no right or wrong answer. And the reason is because Gemini 3 Pro Preview actually performs very well on the benchmark. So we would just like to see how it does. And there's some examples that they give below. These might be with the older models, but these are actually pretty good, right? So let's see what it can do and let's try to build this out. I just clicked on build and we'll wait for it to now reason and work. So there's the preview screen that's there and it's actually now building it. You can click on the preview to see the actual preview and you can click on the code to see the code. Alright, so we see that it is doing all these files, it's creating all these files and writing out code to it. And there's also a thought process that went on for 31 seconds where it would have planned out all the steps that it needs to take. And now let's try to go to the preview tab and see if something has come up. So all right, so we need to wait for all the files to complete over here first. All right, so this is what it's created. So looks good. Let me just try and drag the start node over here. So there's one node over here. Let's make this full screen, and let's have a process node over here, and let's see if we can connect this. And wow, we can actually connect this. I did actually connect it the opposite way around. So I can select this and I can resize this. I can actually delete this node. The arrow actually moves with it. I can select this and I can resize this as well using this. And there's a delete button over here. Let me just try to delete this. And when I delete this, the arrow also goes away. All right. So I can actually then, try to put the process node again. And let's try to connect this node with this node. So that just actually highlights the node when you actually bring it on top of it. Let's add a decision node over here. Let's actually take this and connect this to the decision node. And let's add an end node over here. And let's actually connect the decision node to the end node. We can actually need to change this to end. And this actually formats it very, very well. Now, just for a single prompt and a few minutes of processing for completely free, I was actually able to make this, right? So I think this is a big deal. And this does not mean that this is the only model that can do this. But the fact that you can actually use your Gmail account, log into aistudio.google.com and actually do this is pretty great, right? And what we can also do is that there's a deploy button over here with which you can actually deploy this to Cloud Run, which is one of Google's serverless environment to run your projects, so front ends and also even back ends, right? So what you can do is you can actually create a Google Cloud project over here. We're not going to go into the details of that particular aspect, but that's one option that's also available to you. Now I can see that it has actually not, added any kind of sizing for the text, but it's actually added a generate with AI button, which I don't think I asked it to add, but let's just click on it and see what happens. So it says, describe the process you want to visualize. All right. So it gives an example, a user registration flow with email verification and error handling. So let me just actually repeat that same thing. User registration flow with email verification and error handling. All right, so I added that text and it's completely black, so you cannot see it very well. But let's just click on generate and see what happens. Okay, so the generate flow version does not work that well, but it still actually tries to get us the nodes, which is start and display registration form, user enters details, input is valid, and then there's a input error or something below that. And then you have these other steps over here. So it's actually pretty good. The arrows are missing actually. The arrows are not there. But again, just that the fact that it added this generated AI feature is pretty amazing. And also, once you click on a particular node, we also have the option to change the text size. So that option is actually there. And there's also options for colors over here. So you can actually change a color by clicking one of these buttons. Although this actually is not changing the color over here, but it has added a section over here which looks very well, very good to actually change the properties of these particular nodes over here. All right. The other thing is that we can actually go over here and look at the code. So it has all the components, the index.html, index.tsx, and the services that it has built along with the types and the app.tsx files. So it has got all the files over here that we can actually download and get to our computer and use. We can also push this to GitHub from over here. We can download the files from over here. And we can save a copy of this app to Google Drive by clicking over here. And this is going to then save it for future use for us. The other way you could use Gemini 3 Pro Preview is to actually chat with it without being in the build section over here. So you can actually expand this side box and go back to the home screen and click on chat with models. And over here you have the Gemini 3 Pro Preview. Just select this model and then you are ready to chat with it, just like you might do this in ChatGPT or some other application. All right, so Gemini 3 Pro Preview's performance looks amazing according to me, and it can one-shot these complex web ideas in the build section, give us the code, and that combined with this environment of AI Studio is a big deal, right? Because you can actually start building out ideas inside that build section and build your apps and save them to your Google Drive and then deploy them. So that's one important thing. the performance and the entire ecosystem that Google is providing over here. And the second thing is the accessibility. So you can actually access it for free using your Gmail account. I think that's a very big deal because a lot of people would not want to spend money initially to try out these models. And once these start working very, very well, you can actually then take a subscription of Google and then start building with them more professionally, right? So that's all for this video. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.